Siargao Island, located on the northeast of Mindanao, is known as the surfing capital of the Philippines. On the last day of January 2021, we went to the island for a field expedition. And on our free time, we went to explore what the island has to offer for our adventure-thirsty body. On the early morning of January 31, we rode a taxi towards the airport for our flight to Siargao. Upon reaching the airport, there were very few people compared to the normal days. We then went to a nearby gate while waiting for our flight to be called for us to be allowed to enter the building. Besides from us, there were also other passengers waiting for their flight to be called. After waiting for about an hour, we were finally able to enter the building. We immediately went to the check-in counter to check in for our flight. And since it was still during the pandemic, we gathered the necessary travel requirements as required by the IATF of Siargao Island a few days ahead. After getting a boarding pass, we went to the departure area and waited for boarding. And while waiting, we opted to order food and have our breakfast at the airport. After a few hours of waiting, we were finally called to board the plane. For this trip, I'm with Kuya Marsh. He also has his own YouTube channel at Wild Talks PH. I'll put the link up for you to check it out. Our flight was a connecting flight, so we had to stop over at Cebu.
Power loss or smoke in the cabin. Emergency light.
After a few hours of sleeping in the plane, we woke up at Bactan Cebu International Airport. And after a few hours of waiting, we finally went to board our last plane for that day. Our plane to Siargao Island. Within less than an hour, we were able to reach the island of Siargao. And from above, we can see the vast mangrove forest of the Municipality of Pilar, where Sayak Airport is located. And while waiting for our special ride, we went to check out this tourist map. And a few minutes later, that special ride came. And yes, that's right. We're going to ride an ambulance.
Dito kami sa ambulance.
Ito yung pinakamalaking service na nasakyan namin. Tandaan yung kasya. 100 man pala. Tigpigit yung sinasakay eh.
We had to be quarantined first before we were able to go out for our field expedition. While Kuya Marsh has something else on his mind. After our quarantine, we immediately went to our field site, which is Paghungawan Marsh. The marsh serves as a habitat for the critically endangered Philippine crocodile. And we were tasked to monitor the status of these crocodiles in the marsh. For several days, we roamed the marsh both day and night to look for this highly secretive crocodile. To know more about the Philippine Crocodile Conservation Project in Paghungawan Marsh, you may check out the Facebook page Philippine. Since it was the rainy season when we went there, the water levels of the marsh was high, so sometimes we used a boat to get to our destination. And in some areas that are not accessible by boat, we have to walk in the murky water of the marsh. Philippine crocodiles are known to utilize caves and caverns surrounding the marsh, so we went to explore a nearby cave.
A crocodile.
Some of the caverns where these crocodiles were spotted were in really tight spaces, and we had to squeeze through the sharp limestone walls in order to see and explore these caverns. There's still a lot to know why these Philippine crocodiles are utilizing these caves. The recent observations show that they have only been found in these caves during the dry season. Paghungawan Marsh provides a hope for the future of the critically endangered Philippine crocodile. We have high hopes that the Philippine crocodile population within the marsh will continually exist in the future, and the communities living alongside with them will continually benefit from this poorly misunderstood species. That's all for this episode. Join us next week for the part 2 of our escapade, as we showcase to you some of our beach and surfing adventures in Siargao Island.